This is Canton Chili, one of my favorite go-to restaurants to eat meals in between or after my university classes. It's one of the many amazing Chinese restaurants you can dine in the heart of Toronto's Chinatown. But recently, someone brought it up to me that I should try my best not to eat at Chinese restaurants too often. Why? Because of MSG. MSG can cause headaches, nausea, chest pain, can make you obese, and can even lead to high cholesterol. People can be allergic to it, and it can even cause brain damage. I mean, have you even heard of Chinese restaurant syndrome? It's not real. MSG, the delicious seasoning that gives Asian dishes that umami flavor, is stigmatized as being something that's terrible for you and that you should feel guilty whenever you consume it. But why? Let's start from the beginning. MSG is short for monosodium glutamate, which was first discovered in 1908 by the Japanese chemist Kikunae Ikeda. He basically said, wow, this seaweed tastes umami, but like, why? So he tried to isolate and duplicate the savory taste of kombu, which is an edible seaweed that's commonly used as dashi, a broth that you would find in something like miso soup. Turns out, it was thanks to glutamic acid, and boom, MSG was born. Ikeda then founded the Ajinomoto Corporation to mass produce the seasoning, which would be used in foods all over the world. But how exactly did MSG become the antagonist on our dinner plates? It all started in 1968, when a letter was published in the New England Journal of Medicine about the Chinese restaurant syndrome. The writer of the letter, Dr. Ho-Man Kwok, wrote that, I have experienced a strange syndrome whenever I've eaten out in a Chinese restaurant, especially one that served northern Chinese food. The syndrome, which usually begins 15 to 20 minutes after I've eaten the first dish, lasts for about 2 hours without any hangover effect. The most prominent symptoms are numbness at the back of the neck, gradually radiating to both arms and the back, general weakness, and palpitations. He proposed that the culprit may have been the cooking wine, the sodium levels in the food, or MSG. And unfortunately for the latter, MSG became the main suspect. Here's where it gets interesting. Studies over the years have shown again and again that MSG isn't harmful at all in normal amounts, just like how any seasoning isn't harmful in normal amounts. You'd obviously have adverse effects if you swallowed a bucket full of table salt. MSG is found naturally in tomatoes, cheese, and even breast milk. There isn't really a reason to believe that MSG is worse than salt or sugar. Actually, if you're worried about the sodium, MSG only contains 12% sodium, whereas table salt contains 40%. So if you grew up like me, whose parents seasoned their dishes with MSG, but ended up avoiding it because of the myths, it might be time to put it back on your spice rack. I still find it hard to believe that I blamed MSG for the reason why I felt sick after eating certain food, when I clearly was just ignoring the fact that the food that I ate just had a lot of salt or fats in it. Okay, I'm gonna dive into something a little bit heavier. I've seen a bunch of things online or on social media that imply that Asian food is unhealthy or even dirty. I remember seeing an article online of a non-Asian owned restaurant serving what they claim to be clean Chinese food. Clean Chinese food. I would bet that most people don't know that some American franchises like KFC or Chick-fil-A use MSG in some of their meals. But I, to this day, still hear about people wanting to avoid Chinese or Asian restaurants because of MSG. The racist undertones surrounding MSG may have arose from periods of heightened xenophobia in the West with the rise of anti-Asian sentiment after World War II and during the Cold War. The yellow peril, which is a concept that comes from the fear of the other, is a racist color metaphor that depicts East Asian and Southeast Asian people as an existential danger to the Western world. That deserves its own video another time, but the MSG stigma played into the stereotypes of the yellow peril and was seen as something to be feared, a foreign element that could cause bodily harm. This further worsened the stigma that Asian things are cheap, contaminated, or even poisonous. So if MSG is your thing, don't fear it. Just rejoice in the fact that your food tastes amazing and that there's nothing to worry about. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me what you want to learn next in the comments below. My name is Haru, and this was Curious Caro. Till next time, eat well.